to catch it in action. We can always go back and access it if there's a crime that takes place that might have been in view of one of these cameras in the field of view. We'll be able to go back. We'll be able to find that crime committed on camera. These are high megapixel cameras so that we can literally zoom in and the ones that I've seen, you could actually read the dial on a watch, on a wristwatch.
Now, is this going to be used in the same areas that you would have ShotSpotter, or this is?
It hasn't been determined just yet where we're going to use it. We're kind of leaning toward the business district, downtown area. We've got the Dow Events Center, we've got the Temple Theater, we've got the Hamilton Street Old Town area. These are areas that people like to come to.
Business center.
We want our businesses to thrive. We want our visitors to the city to feel safe. We have, unfortunately, a negative reputation that we have to try and live down. When we install this new technology, we're going to tell people where it is, and we're going to highlight the fact that they can then come to our business district and feel safer than they could literally anywhere else in the state, because we are the only, or we will be at that time, the only city with that kind of advanced technology. Lansing has some. In certain areas. They don't have ShotSpotter. We will have both ShotSpotter and the PODS cameras working, to put like a layer of security over our city, make it possible to do more with less. This is going to be this technology is something we're looking at as a force multiplier for the police department. We can't afford to pay, for more police officers on the street. It just isn't feasible, and you never know what you'll get. Certainly, we've gotten we've been very lucky. We've gotten some real high quality officers in the last 2 years. We had some tremendous quality officers, but there's barely enough to do the job adequately and hold the line, let alone do anything proactively and make an improvement. So we add the technology. And that takes our 105 officers and makes them the equivalent of 155 officers, hopefully. Because the technology makes them that much more efficient. And I think that's going to be the wave of the future for most cities.
When I started in government service, I think there was somewhere close to 200 officers in Saginaw. And because of our financial woes, for example, this year we got a $1.7 billion deficit at the state level, which will be reflected in decreased revenue sharing to the city, which will be reflected in pressure on your budget, and on and on. And we've seen, a decrease in the number of available bodies for you. And also when I grew up into public service, community policing, which is personnel intensive, it takes people to do that, was real popular. So these things that you're talking about now, these force multipliers, I like that phrase a lot.
Well, the things that you're talking about, Senator, the economic pressures on municipal government across the state has had the effect of reducing the presence of full-time police officers by fully 2,000 positions statewide.
Across our state?
Since 9/11. And that's a kind of a sobering benchmark. To start at one of the most heinous crimes against the United States imaginable, and then watch Homeland Security in our state take the form of reducing law enforcement positions by 2,000 people. But it's the reality of the economy, and that's where we're at. We have to do what we can with what we've got left, and in my opinion, the best way for us to do that was to work smarter rather than work harder. The old way of doing things is not going to work because we don't have the ability to fund the old way. We have to find a new way.
Well, you were looking at, I think we talked maybe, a year or two ago about a ShotSpotter and the PODS cameras and struggling to find funding at that time. What sort of things have been in the mix for you in regards to new technologies? Or are there other things that you're going to be looking for out there that we ought to, in government, pay attention to? If we,
funding sources?
Yeah, if we or things to protect our people, things that if I run across some money, I'm very lucky, that we can bring home to help?
Well, a lot of our technology has been generated through congressional earmarks at the federal level.
I think Dale Kildee gets
Yeah,
some
Congressman
credit for
Kildee did a tremendous job. He's predominantly responsible for the funding that we've been able to use for our technology program, and we're asking for more. I'm not embarrassed.
Sure.
You know, and you know, one of the things that I take pride in is that since I've been, you know, in office for 5 years now, prior to my arrival, the effort to secure federal grants was pretty much abandoned because of the difficulty in administering those grants. And I thought that was a really bad strategy. So, you know, I really concentrated on going out there. We've gotten a multi-city Project Safe Neighborhood grant that we're just winding up here in the next 90 days. The city of Saginaw split a little over $1 million with Flint and Jackson. We got about $400,000 for law enforcement augmentation in terms of collaboratives to fight gangs and guns. Okay, we applied for and received a weed and seed grant, which is, you know, weeding the narcotics trafficker out of a certain designated geographic zone in our city and seeding back in rehabilitated people, counseling for addiction, mentoring for anger management, a number of social programs. So we're splitting the money evenly between law enforcement and social programs to improve the conditions. That will be in our, we're winding up our second of a 5-year grant. With that, we've gotten justice assistance grants. Our recent cops hiring grant for $1.02 million enabled us to expand our community policing program, more than double our community policing program from 4 officers to 9 officers.
Let's talk about that a little bit. If you're just tuning in, I'm Senator Roger Kahn here with Chief Gerald Cliff from the city of Saginaw. And we're talking about well, law enforcement and public safety. I don't know, maybe the people tuning in don't know what community policing is. Why should you tell us about that?
Well, it stems from an old concept, same cop, same neighborhood.
Yeah.
The idea is to get the residents of the community involved in assisting the police department in providing their own levels of security, get them involved in their own safety.
Does that work?
Oh, it works tremendously. We have had so much success that as we expand the program, we have fewer community police officers than we have people demanding community police officers,
Really?
which is, it's unfortunate. We're grateful that we're able to more than double our program. It's unfortunate that we still have citizen groups out there that want and we can't provide. Unfortunately, it costs money. And without the money to hire the bodies, or in the future here, not too far distant future, we're going to have to be asking for the money to keep the bodies. We can't provide community police officers, but they're tremendously popular. They're incredibly effective.
What makes them effective? What do they do that?
Well,
that
they're
makes a
given
difference?
a small geographic zone within the city that they're predominantly and almost entirely responsible for. They handle all the calls for service, but they also they're expected to get out and walk beats, talk to people, get to know the residents in the areas that they're responsible for. Each one of them has a cell phone, and that cell phone number is handed to any citizen that resides within their zone, so that if they don't want to call 911 and wait, or if they've got a neighbor problem or a trash problem or a code enforcement problem, they don't have to go through City Hall. They can call their community police officer, personally talk to them, and discuss the problem, and that officer can then come back, he can work with that citizen, and he can help fix that problem. And we give them as much autonomy as we can possibly give them to handle whatever issue their neighborhood may encounter. They're expected to go to all the Neighborhood Watch Association meetings. They're expected to be a part of the Neighborhood Watch Association, a member, if you will, and they're expected to take ownership of that area. And it really promotes the police community interaction like nothing else I've ever seen in law enforcement.
You know,